What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Studio1Tutorials.com and Craftmaster Productions. Today, we're going to be looking at how to do an ASAP Rocky at long last ASAP style beat. What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Studio1Tutorials.com and Craftmaster Productions. And today, we're going to be doing something like this. All right. So the thing I really like about ASAP Rocky and his vibe is how he mixes kind of like the old school New York elements of hip hop and kind of like the older down south elements of hip hop. That's something that I always wanted to see happen, but during that time, the the two regions, New York vibes was real I don't know, they was salty that that the game was changing up, and a lot of that outlook got taken out on southern artists because they were popular at the time or whatever, so they didn't really work together a lot. So it's nice to see a new generation kind of taking those two vibes and putting them together. The inspiration for this track was knowing that about Rocky. I was just like, let me go and take one of my favorite Wu-Tang songs, Ice Cream, and just go to who sampled, find out what the main sample was, and then I'll take that and flip it my own way. So that's where this sound comes from. And all I did to get that, nothing crazy. I just went here, downloaded this, went to where it says 37, cut those four notes, and just went ahead and laid it out on the grid. I didn't use Impact or or Sample One or anything like that. There was one thing though, when you zoom in on this and you see where I had my loops, right? You see that the way that it turns around, it's not at a zero crossing point, because of that, and that was really pissing me off. It was just like kept on popping. It was the perfect loop, but because these are old stereo tracks, a lot of these old stereo tracks you run into that problem with. So all I did was I highlighted everything after I got done laying it out, right click, and create crossfades, and it wound up it wound up looping just fine. So that was that. Now for the drums, this is like just a simple 808 jam. Nothing crazy going on with the drums. But one thing I will say about the drums is I followed this dude on like Facebook and stuff, Superstar O. You guys have probably heard of him. Some of you might even follow him. He's got really good sounds. Like his drum kits are always awesome. And having good drum samples is what you need. I'm not telling you that you got to go out and spend $50 and buy this to make a good beat, but don't sleep on the demo. All the drums that I used in this kit are from his demo, man, and he gave you some really good sounds. This kick right here, you see how that's a short release kick? That's perfect for stacking an 808. And if you listen to it, you hear that little high at the top. That I don't know how to explain it. It's just the highest frequency. By itself, it sounds a little weird. But when you stack it with the 808, it makes it cut through so perfect. Like it's really good. This snare right here, the cutter snare, like it does what it says it does. Like it cuts right through the mix. I like this one. This is just a nice grimy snare. You could adjust the reverb tail, with your decay if you wanted to. And then that clap snare is banging. So it's a really good foundation. I also used his new age hi-hat. Okay. So the pattern is, nothing crazy, guys. It's just, regular double time. And just a regular, this hi-hat, just a 4 on the floor hi-hat. The 808, this is something that I did myself. I've had a couple questions about 808s in the past week. This stuff, it's not hard to do. You just gotta get it out of your mind that that synthesis is difficult, because it's not. You just need to learn some basic functions. Attack, decay, sustain, release. Learn what your waves sound like, and you can make any sound. If for anybody who has complete 9 or 10, if you have the Razor synth, just go to this this preset here, punching the balls, right? It's you go bass, punching the balls. It's the first one. When you first here, I'll reset it. When you first pull this up, it's going to be low quality and it's going to have a reverb on it. Obviously, you don't want reverb on your 808, so you take that off, okay? Now, if you play it by itself, that doesn't sound like an 808. The reason why it doesn't sound like an 808 because it doesn't have the release, that boom. The sound isn't carrying out. So if you want to make the sound, drag out longer, you just go to the amp envelope, take the R, and move it. Oh my God, it's an 808. It's crazy, right? That's all you gotta do. It's no big deal. As far as the glide, you can, you could do this in this synth or any synth. You just take the glide, and however you want it to sound, you just adjust the time. But you gotta use your ears. If you don't have the patience, to use your ears, and you just want one specific sound, and you want it as fast as possible and as easy as possible, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you're really cheating yourself of the whole music making experience. If you're just looking for, like, I want to make a beat in 30 minutes and I want it the way I want it to sound and I want it now, and I don't want to take any time to learn anything. So but anyhow, once you go ahead and do that, you could save your your 808 as a preset in Reactor, and it'll always show up. So there's this is what we have so far. with the sample here, I went ahead and high cut it a bunch and low cut it a bunch, and when I did that, I noticed that I was missing out on the original griminess of the record sound. So I just took and got a vinyl noise sample, time stretched it so that it fit the rhythm, and added that back in, and it adds some more of that authentic like vinyl grit. Now, as far as making this sound more modern, a lot of the music that we do now, we do a lot of being able to fill in the frequency spectrum and stuff. So I just wanted something, a type of texture to kind of complement what was going on here. So I went through Omnisphere and I found this sound. It's called analog tremolo piano. Sounds like this. Just something creepy in the background. Like I said, I just wanted it to be a texture. It's not something that I wanted to stand on its own. The next sound I brought in was this Gone Too Far synth from Signal. Just because I wanted something like a little bit more modern, computerized synthy sounding in the background to kind of, bring this track into our decade. This sample right here, that's from the Vengeance vocal pack. That's a really good pack, part 2 that they did. Like that was, I still use that to this day. When you want like a little vocal stab, like a soul stab or something like that, it has a whole bunch of good ones. You don't want to go and, if you're not a record collector and you just don't know like a good record to grab right away, this does the trick. Like this turns anything into that vibe. The other sample I have, that is that's Eddie Murphy, Delirious. This song, if you listen to the intro when Method Man's like, the ice cream man is coming, that was a skit. It's not a skit, it's a bit that Eddie Murphy did in his Delirious stand-up, where he was talking about how crazy it is in the neighborhood when the ice cream man comes. It's pretty funny. But so I just took that part that Method Man was saying. He was redoing what Eddie Murphy had done. So I took it, I transposed it up, and I time stretched it. What the kid's saying, or it's not a kid, it's Eddie Murphy. He's telling his mom to throw down some money. Here, you can hear it. Throw down some money! Throw down some money! In the original song, they had did something similar with another chop, so I just kind of wanted to, kind of pay homage and add something like that into mine. So that right there is pretty much the basis. I built the hook out on all of those sounds. I put a little drop right here because in this second section of the hook, I changed the hi-hats from the 4 on the floor pattern to more of a pulsing trap pattern. So this is what it wound up sounding like. So that's gonna bring me into the first new feature that I'm like totally in love with, as far as Studio One is concerned, is this button right here. This is the arranger track. I'm sorry, this is the scratch pad. And what the scratch pad allows you to do is you can take and create different instances of this area, and it doesn't interfere with what's going on over here. So it's a really cool way to go ahead and create and modify something. Like you could take your hook there, copy. Okay, you copy and paste your hook, right? And then double left click on this, change this to verse, right? And then just start, say, okay, for the verse I'm going to get rid of the hi-hats. I don't want to have that drop there, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to go into I want to make sure I do this right here. On the second part of the 4 bars, I want to reverse the sample a couple times, and you can see it's just really easy. I'm not gonna have this right here, and I'm only gonna have the texture come in every other bar, and then you see just like that, you've got a brand new 8 bars, and that's pretty. And then all you got to do is just highlight everything and insert it into the track. Let's see here. Let's say we're gonna do it over here. So we just take everything and then move it on over from the scratch pad into the world, and now you've got another working piece of the song. Really, really awesome. It's definitely adding. It definitely. It takes like half an hour off of my workflow. The other cool thing is, the arranger track, right? The arranger track has an inspector view, so you can move stuff around right here. That is pretty cool. So once you go ahead and you make the first section of your song, the first I'm sorry, once you go ahead and you make the pieces of your song, then all you got to do is you can alt drag and then add another piece down here, and just keep on extending your song as far as you want to extend it. It's really powerful and easy. Because before, if you guys have seen my tutorials, I have to go down here and then highlight this, and then sometimes you don't catch all those, and it's just stupid. So it's really cool that that's available to us now. Okay, so the verse section, the first thing that I did was I worked on I just chopped up the sample every other bar, and I reversed it to get this effect. So I just thought that was pretty cool. I didn't want it to be basic though, so I added an instance of stutter edit. This is if you guys haven't seen this, this is totally worth however much they're charging for it now. It's like a glitch editor. It's more than a glitch editor though. It could do a lot of stuff. It's a MIDI effect, meaning you add it to whatever track you want to affect as a plugin, and I believe I have this on a bus right now. Okay, there it is. I put it on the vocal sample, and you could hear what it does. So you see that, that effects chain right there, that's not something that you would typically put together. And this makes it really easy just by pressing down a key on your keyboard. I recorded this one and this one. So when you hear it in context, it just adds a different texture, and it lets you know that you're in a different part of the song. Because the challenge with doing one of these like 90 style samples, especially when you're slowing it down, this thing was originally like at 90 beats per minute. I've got it at 120, which is really 60 in double time. So it's going along with this simple melody. You really have to add variation in the other parts of the song, in your drums, to make it interesting. So here's how the verse sounds. So you heard a couple variations in there. The first was right here. I just took the first part of the sample, cut it, the woman singing part, and just set the grid to 16T, and did that little Maybach music tag roll. You want to do those, kind of like at the end of 8-bar sections or 4-bar sections. You definitely can't let something go 8 bars without changing something. And then that's how we came up on this part. I just took and reversed the whole sample. Did a quick snare roll with the if you see, I'm using 2 different snares. I have the 90 snare, and then I have kind of the trap snare. I just used it in key parts so that it wasn't overwhelming, with that trap snare style. That's something that that's prevalent in a lot of the ASAP Rocky beats too. Like they'll use a real papery snare, but it'll be very sparing, just so it's there, but it's not like, it's not like a Hit Boy track where it's like all over the place, like cat, 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 or some Lex Luger shit. You want to, once every 16 bars, just drop like a little tasteful roll, nothing crazy. Less is more, especially with the trap elements and something like this. Now, this second section here, like I was saying, because of the whole repeating sample over and over again, by the time you get to that second hook, you're done hearing that. You need to take it somewhere else. And that's one of the themes in At Long Last ASAP. They're really good at like switching up the samples, adding different parts. So for this part, I'll play you what it sounds like. this was something again really quick that I built out on the scratch pad here. All right, so for this middle part, I was just trying to show it in the scratch pad view that I did, but I don't know, it's bugging out. It's being really buggy. This could just be, because it's the first version of this software, but for some reason when I'm using my screen recorder and the scratch pad function, it just does not work at all. Everything freezes up. I just tried to do it 3 times. So I'm gonna show you guys how I did it. But originally I did this in the scratch pad, and all I did was I took this gate synth sound that we had, the signal sound, and it's the same patch, and all I did was play, program a little chord progression. And you'll hear that pitch down at the end. I just used the Effectrix, set it to 1/8. Had a little stretch effect here, and then I used the tape stop just because without it, I just felt that it sounded, a little too basic. This is it without it. So just little subtle things like that make all the difference. Everything else is pretty much the same. I switched up the drum pattern a little bit. And you hear how I'll go back and forth between more of the East Coast snare, and then do my rolls with that cutter snare. That gives it a nice distinction, and it just kind of feels like you're folding the two genres into each other, which is really cool. That's the goal of what I was trying to do. The female vocal sound sample is exactly the same, and I changed the Eddie Murphy sample. I just chopped it up a little bit. I just thought that sounded cool. And then the next thing I added was this hi-hat pattern. Again, changing the hi-hats. If you could find a way to have 3 or 4 different hi-hat changes in your track, that's gonna work really good with keeping interest, especially like in these trappy sounding things where the hi-hats push the rhythm so much. It's just nice to give the listener something new to listen to. And if you hear what I'm doing there, is I'm kind of doing a call and response between the hi-hats and that cutter snare. Here, listen again. Now that this is one of these things that's a known musical device. A lot of the times, or most of the time, it's done with melody, but you can do it with percussive elements too, and that's called a call and response. Sometimes you'll have, like, say, a saxophone play half a measure, or maybe you have the saxophone play for 2 bars, and then the piano comes in and does something. So it'll be like prom prom prom, and then the piano will come in and be like dun 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 dun, that kind of thing. And you could, it's really effective, especially with trap drums, when you go from hi hat to snare. Um, God, a song that did it really good was OG Bobby Johnson. If you go and listen to that beat, and you listen to how there's just like these little hi hat runs and then these really tough snare runs, and I think that's one of the best examples I've seen it been done. So that's a nice caveat. Then on top of everything, we have the texture that stayed the same. Didn't do anything with that. I added this patch from Signal. Is called Bloody Hands, and I changed it a little bit to get what I wanted. I just liked how it was pushing the energy up. Then what I did to get that effect at the end, this plugin was on sale last week or the week before, and I've been wanting this for a really long time. I have it at the studio I work at, and I never bought it at home. Anytime I needed to use it, I would just use it there. But I moved like an hour away, so I've just been waiting for this to come down in price. It was $50. This is like the best pitch shifting plugin that I know of. It's old as shit, but it works so good. And all I did was I automated the semitones here. If you watch it again. And so all I did to be able to do that was, I go to open this up, go to add remove parameters, and then pitch semitones was over here. Just highlight it, click add, and then you can either go like I'll always have a track that has a whole bunch of automation on it, but you could add something new, like say the pitch, okay, and then just take it and I'm sorry, add a new automation track, and then just add the pitch, for example, and then you'll see it'll open up a new lane down here, so you can add it. Say this is pitch, and this is semitone, but then you can also I have my 808 mutes on this one as well, because I just keep everything in one lane. That way I don't have a whole bunch of automation lanes. So that's a personal thing. Some people like to have a bunch of them, but all I did anyhow was I just went and drew this in. I'm so happy the Studio One finally added this. This shit was killing me. I could finally do curves in my automation. It's so awesome. Thank you for that, Presonus. But yeah, you can finally curve the automation, and so what we wound up with was this cool little section. And then From there, I just went into the hook, because I realized I'm at about 240 seconds. Songs nowadays aren't much longer than 3 minutes, 3:20, and if I put another 16 in there, it wind up being a really long, a really long track. And I make my beats for rappers. You know what I mean? I don't make my beats to produce to impress other producers. I make my beats for a rapper to sit there and listen to it and want to rap on it right away. So usually I make it I just make it two verses, quick and simple, something that they could get an idea to, and if they want to add more, we go ahead and do that. um but yeah, here's the finished track one time. And there it is, at long last, ASAP type vibe. Pretty much what you could take away from this tutorial is, if you want to go ahead and go for this type of style, you want to take, some elements that are definitively 90s East Coast, some elements that are definitively 90s and early 2000 Dirty South. You want to use the East Coast snare, but you also want to have, a trap snare floating in there somehow. You don't want to go too crazy busy with the hi-hats, but you do want to have some parts that do have the trap influence. And it's more about building a creepy trippy ambiance, just with good sound selection, and not really a whole lot of emphasis on counter melodies. Find some creepy textures in your synths, some trip, some sounds that you wouldn't typically use to maybe like play a lead line, but just have like a cool ambient texture to them. Good stuff, good synths for that, or like Omnisphere, of course. Nexus has a couple presets that are actually very usable, and keep that 808 long, add some glides into it, and you'll be able to get this vibe. It's not hard to do at all. But this is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials.com, and we will catch you on the next one.